Hey there, Warhammer Rishi, bringing you the End Times battle report. 6,000 points, Undead Legions versus the host of the Eternity King. We have Malekith himself going up against Nagash in a 6,000 point epic showdown. We're playing on a standard 6x4 table, and I am just taking pictures. And this is clubmate Mark versus clubmate Matt. So, here we have a look at the list. Let's go through the host of the Eternity King's list first. We have Malekith, Archmage, Book of Hoeth, level 4, Talisman of Preservation. He's pretty beefy. He's got the Ogre Blade, Star Dragon, Death Hag, Witch's Brew, Battle Center Bear, and a Cauldron. She's going to be in a Horde of Witches. We also have a Sorceress carrying a Dispel Scroll, level 2, Lore of Death on a Dark Steed, Glade Clapton, Hail of Doom, Handmaiden of Everqueen with the Reaper Bow, Potion of Strength, so she can pop, hopefully, something like the Casket of Souls. 46 Witch Elves, 10 Dark Riders, 27 Glade Guard with True Flight Arrows, 10 with True Flight Arrows, 10 with another True Flight Arrows, and then we have a horde of 50 White Lions with, yes, the banner of the World Dragon. 4 Bolt Throwers, 10 Doomfire Warlocks, Frostheart Phoenix times 2, Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower, Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower, and then 2 Eagles. So 5,965. The Undead Legions, we've got 1,000 points for Nagash, the Strigoi Ghoul King with this kit, and he's on a Terrorgeist, so fantastic. We have the Witch King. He's the Battle Standard Bearer. He's got a lot of Iron Curse Icon things to keep his unit alive with the Great Weapon, Necromancer, another Necromancer, some Kieran Wraiths just to be annoying, and a Tomb Banshee. 33 zombies, 33 zombies, 33 zombies with standards and musicians, 50 Skeleton Warriors, 50 Skeleton Warriors, 50 Crypt Ghouls, 5 Dire Wolves, 5 Dire Wolves, 37 Grade Guard with the Banner of the Barrows, because you need that in an Undead Legions list. And then we have 2 Felbats, 2 Felbats, 1 Spirit Host, 1 Spirit Host, 1 Spirit Host, and then a Corpse Cart. In his rare, he's got a Casket of Souls, Terrorgeist, 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 Mortis Engine, Vargulf. So, fan-freaking-tastic. This is a lot of lists with the hard-hitting punch. Matt's reasoning behind this list is he wants to go in with the bulk of his army being in core, so that he does, core and rare, so that when he does his undead magic and he wants to raise things up, he can raise things like Hex Wraiths, other useless things, or things in this special slot. Typically, it's harder to raise Terrorgeist and whatnot. So here we have a look at the board. This is the host of the Eternity King, obviously, and this is the Undead Legions. We couldn't even fit a Strigoi Ghoul King on a Terrorgeist and Nagash on. They had to come on in reserves. Apparently, I guess we could have fit him over here, but it was Blood and Glory scenario, so this was actually the end of the deployment zone, and it was full. No, this wasn't Blood and Glory. I just think he just didn't want to deploy him, and I don't know if that's even kosher, but it was a friendly game, so he said, you know what? Keep him off turn 1. It's not like he has enough bolt doors to shoot him with. But here we have a look at the list, and I already ran through them, so I'm not going to go through this turn 1. So here we have a look at the. I got to call them Dark Elves because it's mostly a Dark Elf army with a horde of White Lions and 30 True Flight Arrows. But here we have just looks at the armies, and they're beautifully painted. Most of it. We do have a horde of White Lions, which is looking rather gray and grim. So we have a look over here. I somehow missed this Charybdis and the Wild Riders, but yeah, they're in that list. It has now occurred to me that Mark has changed his list slightly from what he posted on our Facebook group. So sorry, folks, but we do have 5 Wild Riders. He did mention, because I used Wild Riders in my last battle report, that he felt inspired to add them into the list, as well as another Frostheart Phoenix. So there we have a look at the Vanguards, just like that. White Lions move up, like so. Witches move up as well with their Frenzied. And then we have, another unit of 5 Wild Riders. Eagle, and this Mana Core is actually a Frostheart Phoenix. So I try not to use proxies when we can, but friendly game, and let's do it. So Magic Phase, with the new 46 Magic Phase. What does Mark roll? Booyah. Freak, yeah, that is huge. 20. So he's got a lot of magic dice, which he throws Throne of Vines on. And here's just a look at the magic dice. Like, everyone knows every friggin' spell in the game, practically. And I really like the Warlocks, as if they weren't good enough, knowing all the spells from Dark as well as Death. It's amazing. So we have a few things going off, like a soul blight on that unit. That was the only thing that was really consequential. With throwing that 1d6 to see how many dice you can cast, it actually prohibits you from having a fully effective combat magic phase. So much so that he lost one of his wizards down to a miscast, and he popped him and went into the void. So another one gone to the warp. And we have a wound on a Mortis engine, and I believe there was another Mortis engine here. He had two of them, and I think that one also died due to all the magic and shooting. So that exploded and pulsed, but it was only at strength 1, so it didn't do a lot. But of course, it managed to wound the other Mortis engine. So we have a look at the shot here. This is aiming at the Casket of Souls. This is the lady with the Reaver Bow with the Potion of Strength, so she's going to pop that Casket of Souls, and she does, just scoring just the right amount of wounds needed. And so they're all taking tests because of the explosion, and inconsequential zombies and skeletons die. So fantastic. We have a look now at everything that the Mortis engine can hit. Oh, excuse me, sorry, that was the Mortis engine that died, and this is its pulse radius. This is the other Mortis engine. This had a wound on it, I think, from a bolt thrower. I apologize if I don't remember this word for word or play by play, because it was a few days ago and I wasn't really into it. I was just taking the pictures. But here we have a look at another wound going on Terrorgeist from a Mortis engine blowing up, and that's fan-freaking-tastic. And these other Terrorgeists, of course, they take wounds as well. Bad luck this whole game for Matt, and that is really the theme of this game. And I don't want to give out any spoilers because there's some funny things that happen, but Matt's dice are just not as lucky as Mark's dice. They hosted the Eternity King player. So we have our Golf charging in the Wild Riders and stopping them cold. Fantastic, and he marches up his dogs. Nagash comes on in his turn, so fantastic. He's there, and he brings on the Strigoi Ghoul King as well. So everything sort of flies and moves up here as such, getting into nice scream distance. Playing cagey as you want to with these amount of points, because you don't want to just throw points out there. Look at Matt's, I don't want to say chaff, but what are these units? Skeletons? Some ghouls? Skeletons? Zombies? Like, this is something you don't want any good unit to be caught up in combat. So here's Matt's magic phase. I guess a fairly decent one off. However, with the new magic rules, it is really difficult to cast anything because of that D6. That spell you really wanted to get off, it just may not be able to go off. He does manage to dispel Throne of Vines, so fantastic for him. And we have a look at the board. Everything kind of shuffles up and moves forward like so. The zombies enter the building up here, and the dogs and the black coach are over here, and we have a combat with the Wild Riders. Here we have a look at the Charybdis and the Wild Rider combat. That's just looking over there. It manages to break and kill and run down all of the Wild Riders, so fan-freaking-tastic for the Undead Legions player. Way to go, Varg Golf. Manages to overrun over here, and we have a button on the board. I'm not sure what that was. There's a bit of a rules question as whether these Wild Riders could see him. We ruled it that they couldn't because of the movement trays. He would have actually been closer and would have meant a little bit further, so he managed to squeak out of line of sight. We're back over here on the other side of the board. This is the Wild Riders kind of shimmying and shaking over here to get a nice flank charge on a Terrorgeist. Witch Elves declare a charge and fail it, so they march up here like this, stumble forward, I think, 2 inches. They only needed like a 5 to get it into that, but fail. Maybe it was a 7, I'm not sure. And we have the Eagles moving up here too. The other Wild Riders charges the dogs, looking for a nice easy overrun into that black coach. And this is a Frostheart Phoenix. Notice that it's up against the building, and we can't really fit the Frosty's wings, so we took him off its base. The Charybdis actually failed, or I'm sorry, he just marched over here and moved over a little bit to get a nice charge at something. And then we have the White Lions making their all-out charge against the Skeleton Horde. Fantastic. These guys will rip through them, even though there is like 50 of these skeletons. There'll be no problem. Maybe it'll take a round or two to do that, but there we go. Bolt throwers trying to shoot at things, getting lucky shots, but not really doing anything to wound or rolling too high of wounds, anything that's really of consequence. This is the True Flight Arrow block. And then he has Malekith over here just giving everybody re-rolls just within 12 inches, which is such a fantastic spell. We thought we would use the Ethereal, turning a unit Ethereal more. I don't think anyone used it this game, so there we go. We got the Warlocks moving over here. staring down these Terrorgeists. We did have those Wild Riders do a nice flank charge onto this Terrorgeist. They're going to make it. At this point, Matt's like, yeah, you can kill that in combat or with magic or shooting, because then they wouldn't get the overrun and they could just get a reform. That's what's happening. And we have the Warlocks here for position for some nice magic that they can do. Just look at the table. We have the true this unit. This is I believe these may also be true flight arrows. That's just a small squad of 10. They reform and shoot at the Vargolf. And actually, I think 4 of these bolt throwers actually attempt shooting at this Vargolf, and he's a champ. Doesn't die. So fantastic. That Vargolf's been worth its points, even though we have a lot of bad hurt being put on in the middle, and we have potential for really bad combat phase to go here. That's just amazing that this Vargolf survived so long as it did. And now it's going to be a free range charge into the bolt thrower or something. So we have a flank charge into the Terrorgeist, and we have that, and they managed to kill him, and he does an overrun into the Terrorgeist, so it worked out perfectly for the host of the Eternity King, slamming into another Dark Rider unit. Dogs disappear, and they overrun just like so into the Black Coach. So there we have it. And we have the Eagle coming up here to chaff, and then we notice that the other half of the zombies, or skeletons, is gone. And then that is after their crumble. But they managed to stick around, because, that's what they do. Bolt throwers attempt to shoot at the Vargolf, but it moves up behind, and it actually charged into this bolt thrower. This is in base contact. It just doesn't stand on the hill very well. So we put him down here. It has 1 wound left, and guess what happens? The bolt thrower kills him. So way to go, bolt thrower. That was awesome. We have the zombies marching up out of the building. The dogs moving up here to, charge into these Glade Riders. Wood Elves. Magic phase again for the host of the Eternity King. Fairly good. It's at 11, 15. So they get a nice magic face off. Wild Riders die due to, I think, combat and a number of charging from the Glade Guard that marched in on the flank. They died, and we have Terrorgeist moving over here to the side, eyeing up these Warlocks. On the bolt thrower, there's a shot of me just showing that they killed the bolt thrower, or killed the Vargolf. Frosty into the Black Coach with 2 Wild Riders, and the White Lions again, pop. Kill them. Matt forgot to move his bats, and so they're there like that, and not really sure what to do. Sorry for the blurry picture. Just showing some of the placement. We have Nagash and we have a Mortis Engine kind of moving around here, and we have Eagle is going to chaff up something, but where's he going to put the bats? We don't know. Curb discharges the zombies behind a wall, and it makes it harder for them to hit. This Eagle does a long charge into a flank of this zombie unit, so that was awesome for them. And we have a look at the Witch Elves failing yet again another charge. It shouldn't be too hard, but they rolled like 1 and a 2 or something really pathetic, so they stumble forward an inch or 2. And then we have a Frosty almost going into another unit, but it also fails its charge. This is the top of turn 3. Malekith is not in combat. He's just on the other side of this unit that the Eagle's in combat with. Frosty is still in combat with this Black Coach. And I think there's still 2 Wild Riders left. And we have the turn 3. Matt's magic phase. Or excuse me, this is host of the Eternity King's magic phase. They managed to get off a few things like Throne of Vines, and they put a wound or 2 through some bolt throwers and some magic on Terrorgeist, and they managed to kill those Wild Riders. So here we have the Warlocks shimmying backwards, and we have, just look at the board, some Wild Riders died from that Black Coach combat, which is now getting really beefed up because of the magic rules in the End Times. The Black Coach is far more scary, and it gets beefy really quickly. We have some look at the bolt throwers shooting down the lines of sight. Let's look at the combat. Cryptus doing okay. They decide to reform, get into the flank of the ghouls. Fantastic. That is how many ghouls are left. Amazing. So we couldn't take them out of base contact because they were in contact characters, so we had to shimmy them over to that side, as they should. And we have the Felbats moving over here like this. Chaff up things. And here we have a look at the board. It's progressing nicely for the host of the Eternity King, and I can't stress enough how much Matt's dice are working against him. He just seems to not roll anything higher than a 3 or a 2. Ones and twos were the name of the game that day. Raises the unit of skeletons right here in front of the witches, and so you know what's going to happen there. We're going to frenzy and charge right into them. Nagash decides to summon a fulcrum, an arcane fulcrum. He sits on it. This was a little ridiculous, so we put him on a little bit more of a stable base, giving him a tower. And we have the Strigoi Ghoul King, and we have another Terrorgeist marching over here with the horde of Great Guard eyeing up these Wood Elves inside this building. Manages to scream and kill half of them off. Fantastic. Black Coach finally dies. The Frostheart's attacks were magical and they reform. Kind of look like that. And the Eagle's doing okay. And the White Lions shrink to go 9 wide so that they can just pass the skeleton unit and clip and close the door on their turn, which is what's going to happen. This is a Frosty that goes into a Mortis engine, and this is where things start crumbling. Those Witch Elves are going to put the hurt on that skeleton unit, locking them in place. And the White Lions, being only 9 wide, were managed to close the door and make an easy wheel into this zombie horde, which is fantastic for them. Frosty moves over here. Malekith stuff's in the middle. Haven't even used him in combat yet. He doesn't need to. He's been rolling so well. Then we have a look at the Bolt Doors shooting and the Wood Elf shooting. Getting Nagash down to, I think, he's got 4 wounds on him, or those might have been power dice that he's been saving. Warlocks shooting magic and kind of dancing around there, not engaging. They're a powerful combat unit, a powerful magic unit now, far more so than in combat, which I like to tend to use them, which is probably not the best way. Strigoi Ghoul King gets the Terrorgeist knocked out from underneath him, so he stands there. He's got 1 wound on him, and then we put a new model up here so that he can actually stand. And we have a look at the board. This is going to be Undead Legion's turn. We have everything charging around here. It's going to go kind of focusing around this Mortis engine. Even though it is getting close to turn 4, it's going to be pulsing if it were to die, and it's going to be nasty. That happens on Matt's turn. He manages to kill all those, on Mark's turn, manages to kill all those skeletons. And they move forward like so. Because they're frenzied, they do an overrun. And had to. And now we have a look at the board over here. We have, let's look at the zombies marching over here, zombie horde, Terrorgeist rocking over here, and magic phase coming along swiftly. At this point, we start to call the game because it's just been getting too ridiculously long. But here we have a look at the Nagash casting stuff. This horde of skeletons marches into the flank of the Witch Elves. They manage to only do a single wound or 2. They reform like so and put the hurt on them. Zombies kill the Eagle. Reform the Cryptus is killing the skeletons, and this is where we're pretty much calling the game because everything of the Undead Legions is crumbled and dying. And at this point, it was really late, and I decided, hey, I'm going to go because I want to see my family tonight. Marches up his graveyard, but at this point, it's inconsequential, anything that really happens. So here we have a look at the board. At the end of the game, Graveguard are being destroyed. We have a nasty purple sun that comes down here, kills the Terrorgeist, and the Mortis engine blows up on strength 5, just knocking out so many things. And here's a look at the board as it stands. So there it is. Thanks for watching.